Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's session. So we've been working on a lot of different things past couple of months, and today I want to work on something more platform specific stuff, right? So we have done a lot of things in Flutter where we did animations, we did that fancy drawer, we just finished that up last stream. We did custom paint, a lot of stuff with the UI, right? We haven't done anything with state management really yet, and we'll get to that. Today what I wanted to start playing around with was how to use platform native code with Flutter, right? So for instance, you may want to use something in your application that is not available as cross-platform, so you may want to tap into the native side of things. So how can we do that? I haven't done it yet, so today we'll walk through this and then get that going. And if we have time at the end, this stream and the next stream as well, we'll work on something more useful, right? So we'll first create the channel that can talk between the two, and then we'll take a look at how to actually call, let's just say, Google ML Kit in native code, and then get text recognition or barcode recognition, something like this, out of it. So why Google ML Kit? Because Flutter already has support for Firebase ML, right? But what if you don't want to use the Firebase ML, or your client or your app already has something with Google, or you want something offline to just sit on your device and then do that recognition without having to send anything back to any cloud? We can use Google ML Kit, but I'm not sure if Google ML Kit is available out of the box for Flutter. We don't care, right? So we are going to build that machine learning kit recognition code in Android and in iOS natively using Kotlin and Swift. And then we'll just call those from our Flutter app to capture the image and do the text recognition. So today, first we'll get started with just setting up this communication between the cross-platform and native code, and then we will try to get Android working. If not, then we'll focus on the Google ML Kit next week, and then Google ML Kit on iOS the following week. Let's get started. Good morning. Acon23. So let's jump into code. So here what we have is nothing fancy, just a brand new app running. And just to make sure we are, don't know why I always fall for blue or orange, but there you go. How about if we try purple? Okay, a little better. We'll go with purple. So we see the app running. Let's go ahead and do the cleanup as usual. So we'll clean all of this stuff up. Clean it up. Clean it up. And like I talked about this earlier too, the reason I like to start really down here is because for anyone getting started with Flutter, it's very comfortable or comforting to see that I'm starting at the same point that someone else would, except that I have to start up the project. So I did the file, new Flutter project, the whole thing, and I am on Android Studio. I've been jumping between Android Studio and VS Code. I love Android Studio because I do work in native Android as well. VS Code is cool, nothing wrong with it. I just jump back and forth. The reason I jumped over to Android Studio in our streams though is because when I was working with custom paint, some of that's the code snippet that will come in when you try to do like implement abstract methods or interface methods. The IntelliSense was all jacked up, so I stopped using that. Seems to work just fine here. So. Anyway, so we have an app. I don't think this one cares. Platform channels is what the official term is. We'll just use that. Save that so we see that up there. And this the same old thing, right? So if we go back to the documentation, they lay out how these actually talk to one another. So the Flutter app itself has this thing called the channel between them and the channel and the cross-platform code and the Flutter and the native code. So that's what we are going to tap into. Right? So there's a channel that is connected between the two code, and they communicate using like string for naming their channels and then passing in function names as strings. So it's kind of not type safe because you can make a mistake. So in there they do talk about this third-party library that you can use called Pigeon. Very funny name, but it's very appropriate, right? Because it's could have been Raven, but whatever. Pigeon works just fine. What it does is it's a type safe way of doing that, but if you go check it out, it's still in beta, right? So it tells you, hey, I'm in pre-release, I may break your things. So we will get to this probably later, but for now I'm not gonna worry about it. As someone who builds packages himself, I tend not to put out a lot of pre-releases, because if I do want to put up pre-release out, especially for my other stuff that I do on Xamarin, I try to follow it up quickly with the stable release so people can actually use the code without feeling that, hey, this may start breaking in the very next release. Anyway, we'll take a look at that next, but for now we'll stick to the bare bone. In here they're talking about the type conversion, that what each of these types mean in each of these languages. So in Dart, when we say boolean, in Kotlin it's boolean, and then in Swift it's also boolean, and then all these things. So it tells you how the values are received back and forth, right? So I think we'll be working mostly with strings, so the strings is like pretty safe, like we can use that. And then they jump into this battery thing and all that stuff. So what we'll do is, this is what we care about, the method channel. So let's go back here. Now, I haven't done it before, but let's see if I could. If I come up here and I look at my project structure, I have Android, iOS, and if you can see it, wait a minute. Let's make sure you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. All right, and we are back. So it should be good now. You'll be able to see my what I was talking about. Sometimes Streamlabs just catches me off guard. In any case, now we see what I wanted to see. So here we cleaned up the code here, right? And then we looked at the emulator, so we are seeing that it's changing color, so we know we're good. So I was talking about trying to make some of these names, because we're using string going back and forth, a little bit more in line. So what if I want to have a package that's shared across, so that way I can just use the same name for all of them, right? I can tap into that and say like an app constant. We'll do that next, no worries. So back to here. So the example there. So what I want to try to do is call a method, pass in some parameters, and then expect something back, right? So let's make the UI really quick. So now, because I want to extend this into like a Google ML Kit OCR recognition, I do want to pass in. I do want to request like a scan thing. So okay, I think that's good. Do we have like a scanner? What is this? Oh, no, that's not what I meant. Scanner. What about barcode? Nope. There was one that looked familiar. What about this? No, I think search is fine. Stick to search. We'll just name it scan, and on press we'll take care of all this in a second. So let's rename this to scan, right? We'll just have some value called result, right? It's funny how the types have different. Anyway, so we'll have icon that does search. Clicking on it doesn't do anything. We'll leave it alone. Don't need this. That's fine. That's fine. You have pushed. Instead, we will say text found, and then we'll just use the text, which will be, what was it? Result. And result is empty. Fine. So let's go ahead and save it. All right. So clicking on this button does nothing. So we come up here. Or actually, let's make sure all that is also good. We'll say nothing scanned yet. Here we see nothing scanned yet. Okay, fine. So we see that that's whatever. Okay, so now here we need to tap into the channel. Right, so we'll let's come up here and say platform is going to be method channel. We're gonna have a channel first. Now I have to give it a name. So usually the safest bet for a name when you are passing around something is just your app ID. Let's do that. We'll just pass in our app ID, which will be let's just say the Google ML. What do we name our app? Let's go from there. We'll just say com.intelliapp.com. We named it Flutter Google ML. Right, this creates a nice little unique identifier to your app, right? Because we know that nothing else should be using your that name, so it should be pretty safe to assume that that should work for us. It's saying something in red isn't a class, so we have to probably go up and import services. Now we got that. So now what we have is a platform, which is the channel, right? So we got that. Now we need to call this. So let's go ahead and have a method in here. We already have that guy called scan, so we'll let's just say get text or get scanned text, and here we will call platform to get some information back. What we'll do is just to sync. We'll do it without passing any parameter, and then we'll go ahead and do it with the parameter. So we'll say, okay, go ahead and do that. Now we'll just have a just say value, or in good old .NET days, return value. It will just be a text. Then we'll say try. Come on, try. Nope, does not like my IntelliSense today. And we'll capture the platform exception. Let's just call it exception. And in this case, we'll just say turn val is whatever the message was, right? And what are we going to try to do? We will go ahead and try to invoke a method. So we'll say string this will be a result that will say, okay, why can't I just do this? Wait, that result, that is not in Dart either. Right. So we'll just say get the string result, and we'll say, what is it called? Invoke method. Invoke method. Then we have to give it a method name. So we will just say get scanned text. That's fine. You can name it the same, doesn't matter. Right, and then here we'll close it. So now when we come back to do more passing parameters, we'll come back here and touch this guy again. But anyway, we'll await the result for that, and once we get it, we'll set the return val to be just result, which is a string, right? And then we'll go ahead and return. In this case, we're not returning. It's saying set state, and we'll say result equals return value. All right, so here we'll just call get scan text. Right, so get scan text is going to be in the native side. Now if I click on it, let's see what happens. And I get a exception as expected, but it will say missing plugin exception, no implementation found for method this on channel that, right? So it's telling me that I couldn't find any method named this on channel named that. which is fine because we haven't done anything in the platform side. Now let's jump over to the platform side and see what we can do. So because I am already in Android Studio, I'm gonna go ahead. Wait, there's a way for me to open this project directly in there. Let's see, we go to our Android app source, main, Kotlin, this guy, and main activity. Okay, so this is what we see. Bunch of reds in here, not sure why. Open for editing in Android Studio. I am in Android Studio. I bet there's a way for me to open this up. Open Android module in Android Studio in a new window. Yay! Alright, so now let me switch over to the new window so you can see the Android bits. Hold on. All right, so we are back and now we are looking at the right window. So what I've done is in my Android Studio, we switched from our Dart to our native code. Now, if you're not a Dart developer or a native developer or a React native developer for that matter, you may prefer having all your code in one language. For example, if you're a Xamarin developer, you don't have to worry about knowing Kotlin or anything else. You just need to know your C#, but you do need to know the APIs for Android and iOS. So it's very streamlining there, where you can do all this in a single IDE and do all that stuff. But if you are working with Flutter or anything else, you'll probably have to have some native knowledge as well, which is fine. So in our case, we are jumping into the native code, which is Kotlin. I love Kotlin, by the way. I like working in it. What we're gonna do now is you see all those red things went away because now we have opened this project as an actual Android project and not as a Flutter project. So it's familiar with the Gradle, and it built that Gradle. It knows where the dependencies need to be and all these things. Now what we need to do is we need to come in here and tell it that you will have a channel, and then configure that or register that channel to our Flutter engine. So how are we going to do that? let's come in here and I'm just gonna create a companion object, which is just a way of kind of extending the object you already have. We'll call it channel. No, good name. We will say private val channel. Need this, and we'll call this com telyapp Flutter Google ML. Right, so this is just an extension class to our main activity. So when I want to use it, I can just call this and it'll just be there. So it's just an easy, cleaner way of handling any and this kind of properties and stuff. What we'll do is we don't want to call it just channel, so let's just call it channel is going to be the same throughout the app. We'll just add and remove method. So we'll just say main channel. How about that? Like a channel just bothers me. Now in our activity, we will say, let's go ahead and override on, what is it? Configure Flutter engine. There you go. This is the method we need to override to register that channel. So we'll come down here and say method channel, that guy, method channel. And I probably need to bring in, yes, we'll pass in the it needs a Flutter engine dart executor dot binary messenger, and then we'll pass the name of the channel, which is, you can see, even though it's not in the same, it's part of the extension method, it can find it, right? So I'm gonna say main channel, and then we'll say set method call handler, and we'll say method call handler. We'll set the, oh, give me 1 second. All right, I have to take care of some baby business. All right, so now we are in our set method handler call, and here we get two callbacks. We get a call and we get a result, right? And here we can do this. So now what this does is, now we have a call handler listener that is listening to all those messages coming from the cross platform, and it's getting the call, which is the caller, on the channel, and then the result, which is a result that goes back to the caller, right? So now if I come down here on the things actually, so here we can check if the call dot method is equal to, now we need the name of that method, right? So let's go ahead and put it here. I'll just call it scan method, and the name was get. We named it something. What do we name it? Get canned text. I think that was what we called it. We will say if the method was scan method, then I want you to respond to the scan thing. If we had other methods, then go back and do other things, right? So in here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, just go ahead and set the result to success. Got the text, or should it be sample text, which we are setting that. But instead of doing that, let's go ahead and actually wrap it in a try catch to make sure that we get this. We can say, well, for now, let's just do success. Once we set to success, we can also do this, where we will say result dot. We already saw this, but we can actually customize that. We can say no scan method found, right? Better code and string. Okay, so we will say nope, right, and then the details, or we can just say not implemented. Right, this will return that same error we saw before. Okay, now let's go ahead and check it out. Sample text. Now, because I'm in native, you can actually go ahead and use or run the project directly from here. And if we look at our emulator, we should see doing something. So let's take a look. We are waiting. Now it's the first time I'm running it on Android. Probably gonna take a second. Alright, so while it's still doing that, let's go check out the Google ML Kit. It's actually pretty cool. I've used some other libraries as well, but this is pretty cool, pretty straightforward. Given that how far machine learning SDKs have come, it's very easy to just get up and running with these kits and then just start seeing results and just start tweaking them for our needs, right? So what I've been doing lately is I've done the text recognition and I've done some barcode scanning, right, for one of our clients. So which I love. Actually, it's pretty good. It's pretty fast. And then we have other things too, like face and everything else, which, I mean, if you want to, you can definitely get into. But what I would like to do is get the text recognition going or the barcode going. I don't know, whichever one we can look at. But we'll pick one, and then on the Flutter, we'll ask for one of these, and then we get it back. I think barcode scanning is pretty typical, so we can always do that. So maybe we should just look at text recognition instead. It's pretty cool. And the fun thing is, or the good thing is, that it comes in native SDKs for both iOS and Android, which means you can run a Google ML kit on your native iOS code. If you're not using the Apple Vision kit, right? One reason you may want to do that is to make sure you have consistent results between the two. So if you like the results coming back from ML kit, because their algorithm has enough training data to return things to you faster, then you can rest assured that your both iOS and Android will have the same result, right? So you don't have to worry about, well, will it pick up in Google or will it pick up on Apple Vision, all these things. But just an option. So let's see, go back here. So we see that it's running. So ran the Android code, and let's see if we click on it. There you go. So if you notice, we just said hello from Android. Let's go ahead and save it and just do a quick rerun on Android. This time it should be quick. And now if I come down here and I click on it, my Flutter code is connecting to that channel, or using that channel and calling a method by passing in a method's name and expecting a result back. And then my Android side is handling that request in here on the screen. It's checking for that method and saying, oh, if you are this method, then I'm gonna do something and set the result. When the result is set here, we go back to our Flutter code and then we update the state. Right, so we are running it. If I do scan now, I expect to see hello from Android. If I run it, hello from Android. Awesome. Okay, so let's say allow here. Right, so where are we now? What we just did is we have created a channel connecting our Android to our Flutter code. Now we will jump on to iOS, right? Then we'll get to the ML kit things. Now, should I do that, or should I actually get the ML kit going? I have an hour, about an hour. So do you want to see this thing happening in iOS? I think it might be beneficial to do that in iOS, just to see how, because iOS does it a little differently, right? So according to documentation, in Android we get the column result, and we can handle the result here and set the result to something else and pass it back. But if I had, as you will imagine, I won't have this, right? I'll have something like private function get scan scan text something, and it will return. So the return will be a string, and we will say return hello from Android method. And then we can just say get scanned text, right? So it'll be something like this, where we can just set the thing. In iOS it's a little different, so let's go ahead and do that in iOS as well, just so we have it. What I'm going to do now is let's not do that. I don't want to open another IDE and just to connect. So let's see if we can get the text recognition going. I'm thinking what to do. We have this hello from Android. We have hello from Android. And in this case, we did all this. Now we can actually do All right, let's go ahead and do that. So a couple of things we have to do on Android. First, what I would like to do here is for me to open up a scanner, because right now my main activity is running my Flutter app. So what I could do is I can add a new activity and have that activity do the scanning for me, and then just return the result back to me. Right, that way it'll be easier. So how do we do that? We'll come up here. So if you click on this on Android Studio, this little icon that looks like a target, it will take you to the file in the Explorer where the file that's open. So here I'm going to come in here and say new Kotlin class, which will be a class, actually a little bit of activity. So we'll say it's a new activity. The basic, I want it to be empty really. Let's just say empty activity, and we'll name it scan activity, layout activity scan, or launcher activity. Nope, it's not a launcher activity. It's going to be in Kotlin, so finish it up. Now what we are doing is we are doing all these things in. You wanna add these to Git? Yep, go ahead. There you go. Now we have something called a scan activity. The Gradle is gonna do its thing. Why did it put it in two different folders? Move it here. Okay, so I have to wait for indexing to over. Kind of weird. I did add new activity and then just created a whole new folder. Okay, I think it's done. So let me just refresh, make sure. Reload. All right, let's just move it in here. Yes, do the refactor, move it around. Delete. Okay, that was weird. I'll have this guy. Delete that. Okay, so now we have two activities. And if we come to our resources, we will see a new resource called activity scan. And this is pretty straightforward, there's nothing in it, right? So if I go to code, we just have a constraint layout that's a context and there's nothing in it. So we'll go ahead and add some stuff to it. So when I go back here to scan activity, and then here's our activity that has a thing. In our main activity, when we click on scan, scan text, right? What I'm going to do is I will say and just do start the result. And down here, I'm gonna say scan code. Matter, it could be anything. Intent will be not passing anything to it, so go ahead and import that guy. We will say I'm asking for a scan code. Will be 10. Scan activity dot was it touch. saying it's reachable. So I will go ahead and not return anything now. We'll say this is where I want you to be. I'll have an intent that will open up the scan activity, and then here I can come and say override on result on Kotlin. We can do this. Request code is scan, which is 0. I want you to do something so we're doing this to say when we tap on the search, I want you to open up the scan activity and wait for a result. When the result comes back, do something. We'll say handle scan result, and then we'll pass in the data. It's gonna say I don't know what you mean. We'll say go ahead and create a function for me. 10 is fine. 10 is fine. There you go. So now when we click on scan, this guy would not like it, which is fine. So we're not gonna put the result just yet. Take a look in a book. All this, and this should just launch an activity, and then so in the activity we have a layout. It doesn't have anything going for it. So let me go and grab a layout from one of my other projects that I've done. Welcome, Ali Raza. Welcome back to you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. What we are doing right now is we are in the Android side of things, and we are going to get the ML kit stuff going. Now, let's do it in two parts, because there's one way to do it is for you to actually capture a picture and then analyze it, and the other part is to just have a live scanner just scanning texts and then going from there. So what I want to do is I don't want to take a picture. We'll just do it live. So let's do that. So what we'll do is as soon as a text is recognized, it will close that out and then take us back to our main screen, and then with the text. Right, so but we need a couple of things here for the layout. We need a previewer so we can see what's on the screen. We need possibly a button, maybe, to say that I'm done or cancel or something. But I think I'm just gonna go with the couple of items in this view, right? So because it's not Android session, I'm just gonna keep it super simple. What we'll do is we will come in here, add a frame layout. We'll call it Finder. We actually don't even need this. We are going to use a preview, so it's saying, hey, I don't know what you mean by this, so we'll say I want you to bring in the dependency. Why does it not like that? Let me see if I need to bring in a dependency for this guy. So we need to actually bring in some dependencies for Android X camera API. So we'll go into our build Gradle, come down to our dependency. We have a camera version, so we can bring in the camera. Okay, save it, sync it. All right, we are saving, bringing in dependencies. And if you see your dependencies highlighted the way they are on the screen, that's just telling us, hey, there's a newer version of what you're looking at. So if you hover over it, it'll tell you that there's a beta 8 available for you if you want to bring it in. So good. Do we want to bring it in? So we come in here and say, I think it said beta 8 was the latest, because and sync. We don't have to use the latest version, but then again, we are working with beta, right? So might be okay if we use the latest version of this. So there you go. It stopped complaining about those two. It is saying that the camera view is still behind by one version, so go ahead and update this. Sure, we'll do. The strain layout is 113, but it's saying that there is a 201. Sure. How bad can it be? 2.0. Right, so now we have all this up to date. We'll sync it to make sure we get the latest. The only thing that scares me is the app compat, because that could mess up more than just the UI. But it's alright. We'll take care of it. So Gradle finished. We come back to our activity. There you go. It stopped complaining. There you go. Okay. I see. This is what I was talking about. This is kind of scary that the activity is still red, because that's what app compat is. So if I go back here, make sure things look fine. Activity scan. Look fine. All right. So let's just go ahead and save it. What we're doing is, in our scan, all we're gonna have is we'll have a preview of the camera, whatever's on the camera, and as soon as a text is recognized, it'll just stop. Well, it won't stop, but it will just, so the preview, the way it works is that there's an image analyzer that we will see right now. When we are scanning an image, it has a buffer, it has a stream of images coming in, and then every screen and every image that comes in, we look at that to say, hey, can we recognize anything in here, yes or no? What we're going to do is, as soon as we recognize a text, we will stop and we'll just go back, right? We can do a couple of things where we can use a regex to validate that we are scanning a certain text. For instance, if you're looking for email addresses, or if you're looking for a certain serial number that has, a certain format, we can do all that with just using a regex. But in our case, we'll just go ahead and use just any text. So I think this is good. We have this. We could also actually add a button that says so let's do that. We'll just add a button, match. Took a while. App content, give it an ID, just call cancel button. And of course, if you don't give it a layout constraint, it will not like it. So we'll just say the bottom is going to be parent, so it'll be at the bottom of the parent. Then we'll also give it margin of 30. And here we will tell this guy, oh, let's see this cool little split view where you can see this thing in action. You can see right now everything is kind of screwed up. I'll come in here and I say that the top should be with the parent, but your bottom should be top of the cancel. And then here I can say that your top is to the bottom of, what did I call the other one? Viewfinder. Content match. We have matched. Okay, so what do we have now? We have a print layout. Let's see what's going on here. We have, this is set to match. There's a margin. Top of parent, and this is button. So, and then we have a button. This has a margin. All this top. The thing, so the top is to the bottom of this, and the bottom is the bottom of the looks weird. Take a look. Okay, let's fix the let's actually fix it. Top and the bottom are there, but horizontal. Come on, let's go back to code, fix it there. So we will say that start is to the start of parent. So we'll set that. Got the top, start and bottom to the start of this, and this is fine. I don't have to do this. Let's save it. That's weird. Yeah, the button is all the way up there, and some constraint is not where it should be. Okay, let's take a look one by one, see what's going on. So we just have right where it matches new constraint layout that has a preview. That had these two. And then we have two of these. Top of parents. This doesn't make sense. Okay, let's go ahead and keep things like we think they make sense. So we have match parent, the constraint, the preview window is gonna take all of its place. A margin of 30. Actually, what I want to do is give it a margin top. What is it called? Action bar size. Yeah, action bar size. It has enough from the top. Doesn't care. And give it a top. I'll say margin bottom is 30. Left start also 30. Margin end will also be 30. That way we have the top is whatever that is. Sides will actually just give it a top. Let it touch the sides. The start and bottom is going to be the top of the cancel button. Cancel button has a start and end with parent. Bottom is with top. Is to the bottom of the okay. Go back to scan activity. We have our scan activity here. Now here we need to bring in a couple of things because we'll be working with the Google ML kit. So let's start. So let's start here. We will say private variable, call it preview, which will be the preview window we just saw. A bunch of imports coming in here. Then we will have a private image capture, which actually we don't care about. So which is an image analyzer. Does the list null? Cool. Then we need the camera, which is the Android X4. Nullable, we initialize it to null. I think this is good enough for now. Then we'll have some of the things that we will start. We'll say later is initialize it like lazy loading it. We'll have the camera executor. Says right, we don't need to initialize it because it's a later net. Do the same thing for so we have the preview that's going to show us the camera preview, the analyzer that's going to capture the images coming from the preview, and camera is the one that actually is showing the preview, so we need that, and the execution service, right? So let's go ahead and do a couple of more things now. We don't know if we have permissions or not, right? So what we need to do is we need to do some boilerplate stuff for permissions. So I can do all that by just using this from another example. We have code start camera. Okay. Remember, we in our activity we can have a companion object. We call it scan activity. We'll say make sure we have access to we'll make sure we have access to the right permissions. All right, so just some arbitrary number here, and then just say we are gonna get the permissions. Bring in the imports for this. Package manager. That. Toast. Then we have to have a method to start the camera. So what we just did here is we said, hey, we will have an array of permissions that we need. So right now we're only asking for camera. Then we have a method that says, go ahead and go through all the permissions and make sure we have access to them, right? We have permissions granted or whatnot. And then we have the start camera. So I'll put it up here. So camera, right? And we'll go ahead and set the provider. So we'll camera provider. Share code is going to be process camera provider instance for this content, right? Then we'll say that for this, I want you to add a listener goal. All right, and this is a function. So this is where we're going to set up the camera. So we're going to add listeners and add callbacks and add the analyzer here. So when we say start camera, it just starts it up for us and starts to listen and capture all the images coming in from the camera. We'll say camera, and this is coming. So all this will, as I'll have this code available in GitHub, but you can also find the same code on the Google ML Kit documentation. This is just easier, right? So we'll say go ahead and get the provider from the service we have. Preview, which we set up earlier, that this will be a lit in it. I mean, this is here, sorry, the preview control. We are going to go and say preview.builder.build. Build, right? Image analyzer have image analysis, builder, and then we can do things like set back pressure strategy to only latest. So that way, if you have more than one in the preview stream, then just only worry about the latest one. Don't hang on to more than one. We don't need to set the target resolution, but according to the documentation, you should have think it was something by 720, but I'm going to use a smaller one. I'm going to say just use 400 by 200. And the size objects, I gotta say size 400 by 200. Bring it in. Right, and then what's next? We can say go ahead and build it. Right, this will build the so this will build us the red. What was this expecting? Oh, it wants me to add that. What if I don't want to force users to use the different? So it needs an API. Let's make sure we're not forcing our users to a certain guy. Well, can, but let's just bring in the right import. Now, when we're done building it, I'm gonna say that it, so that. So we go ahead and build it. Now, once we build it, we also want to add more functions to it. So we want to listen to some of these things. So Kotlin is pretty cool, where instead of doing like image analyzer dot and do other things, you can just do the fluent text and say also. And now when I say also, I get access to the image analysis object with the keyword it. Right, so anything I do it, you can see is image analysis. So pretty cool. So now I'm gonna say, okay, now that I have initialized my my analysis thing, I want you to set the analyze. The execution will be the camera executor we have up there. And we'll say analyze. Go. Now the analyzer gets an image proxy. Right? And now we can process the image. So I know it's a lot of code I just went through, but it's not too much to understand. Let's go ahead and close this out as well so we can do that. We're not done yet, by the way. We'll get to that first, but we have to set up the camera. So we'll say that our camera selector, because by default you may have more than one camera in your device or on your device. So what we want to make sure is that we say build the selector, right, and then require lens facing camera dot lens facing back. Right, this will just make sure that when we actually create the camera object, we just pass in the selector so it knows that only turn the scanning on the back camera, so it won't turn on your selfie camera. Let's go ahead and wrap this whole thing in a try catch. What we're gonna do is we're gonna now bind all the life cycles. It's pretty cool. So that way, when we bind life cycles, we can make sure that as we close the camera out, everything else kind of goes away with it. We'll say the camera is going to be camera provider, bind to life cycle, context, and camera selector, and the preview, the image analysis. And we'll say that the preview, if it's not null, set the surface, I actually don't care about this either, but that in there. Um, I just give me 1 second and have that. Can't just be listening to my voice. Okay, we are back. What do we have? That surface provider yet? One. Now this is so viewfinder. I'll complain that hey I can't find view, but like what do you mean by viewfinder? But in the new Android you can actually use the able to use station for to go find it. I don't think I need this. We'll come back to that. We have bind to lifecycle. We have that. What is this? Lifecycle on this. And the pre. If we are use case reported preview. You have selector then you have the preview that's up here. It's just an ID. We have the life cycle, which is we have the camera select, viewport, preview. Yeah, let's keep going. Once I close the other function, okay, we will catch exception. And then runnable has that, and then it needs a context get main. Right. So this will handle our listener. Then we have, let's make sure we have the previewer, the analyzer. We'll get to this in a second. So to do. Then we have a camera selector. Then we have the binding that. Let's see. Bind to lifecycle. We'll say. My selector is this. Viewport. These are just the use cases. Let's save it and see what happens. So now let's come back here. So what are we doing in this activity? When we launch the activity, we set the layout, and we do want to go ahead and kick off the camera. So we'll say if all permissions are granted, go ahead and start the camera, else activity dot request permission on this, then we need required permissions is our array of permissions we need, then the required permission code, sorry, request permission, request for permissions. Alright, so this will then launch the activity to get the thing. So I'm gonna say you need this. And what API do we have in our build creator? Minimum is 16? No. But 1. I think the safest best is one of the safer bet nowadays to have like 22 or up. But 21 was the original lollipop. Fine, we can just say 21. Now in here I should be able to remove all these requirements. This code smooth. Let's save it, see what it's. Takes care of that. Okay, so we still have this issue to go with. So I just say bind cycle on this. Let me see if I can find the problem by giving it a name. Viewport. What is going on here? Okay. So we'll start with this. Alright, we have the camera selected. Viewport, which this case, which analyze. Yeah. Wait. Did I do that? Sure. Ah, that's the problem. See, this is the builder, not the actual selector. Come on, sure. Yeah, this is just a builder, so we need to build this to actually get the selector out. There you go. Okay, so now what do we want to do? What we want right now, we're just gonna say process the image. We're gonna have a method called private on handle result, and we'll just get some result, which will be a string, and then we'll get an intent. Right, we'll have an intent. In the intent, we'll put extra. We will name it scanned text E, and we'll put in the result. And once we put in the result, we'll say set the result activity result activity dot is okay, that everything went fine, and I'm going to send back this data, and then we'll go ahead and finish out the activity. So for now, just to make sure we are making progress, I'm going to come in here and say handle request sample and go ahead and save it. In my main activity, I am passing in a scan code. Actually, that should be this. We'll say this is a scan activity code. And now when the activity result comes back, we get some data which will be in here. We'll say result is we'll say if intent as extra by the name of scan text, only then we will say intent dot get string extra for the key scan text. Now you see it's telling me that hey, you have a null and you're not being a good citizen. We'll say if intent is not null and hey, where's my ligatures? Agent. So let's make sure. First thing is first, our priorities are right. Ligatures is turned. Okay. Sweet. Now you see my nice ligatures. Okay. So we get the result, and now we need to somehow send these results back to this guy here. What we could do, we can pass this result to this guy, and this will complain that hey, you're talking about, and what is the this the handler and there have all right. Now can you sure. So this is how you bootleg your way. So now get scan test, I'm passing in the result. We'll say start the activity. Actually what we'll do is and I return the result. Pressing now. When I come back, this is where I come back. Handle result, this is where I get the actual result. How can I go back and then tell this message handler that something happened? Set the result to that. And you come to main color method with scan. This will go ahead and kick this. Let's see if I can do that. If we come up here and say we have a private variable all result, results. I'm gonna call handler. We method channel private function thing. Method channel all right. If I get hold of the result, the thing will it work? Let's try it. We will bring this whole thing out of here. Alright, so we'll just say, instead of passing it in, we will just say that this dot result equals this and get scan text. Need to pass this in at this point, so we'll just call that. It will open up the thing, and when it comes back, we will say this dot result that yes set this to be this. Else, just alt. Header. So not no text recognize, and then just will be null at this point. So it's saying that this thing cannot be null, so let's just do latent it, make it nullable. We new it up, done it here, and do this here. Let's give it a try. Now to do this, can use my actual device. We'll use the actual device. We need some text. So we'll use a card for that. All right. Let's go ahead and run this on the actual device. It'll take a second because the first time I'm doing it. So what we'll do right now is we are going to press on the scan button. What we expect to happen is the scan activity getting called, the scan UI getting loaded with the camera preview, and then camera preview capturing images, not doing anything with that right now, but just capturing them and just setting up in our activity scan. Right now just sending back a text as a sample scan text to our result, to our main activity as a result. Our main activity then setting that result. So let's see if this actually does what we think it should. Right, it's running. This is exciting. Once we get this plumbing to work, then it's pretty straightforward to get the result back and then go through the result and just parse what you want to parse. In the beginning, I wanted to do this only for platform channels. I think it makes sense for us to have a end-to-end product on Android, and then next time we'll do that same thing on iOS. All right, so now we have the app running on the actual device, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to press the scan button and crash. Let's take a look in our run. Says it ran fine. Let's take a look. I'm looking at that. It says no notation found, or get scan text on channel this. Let's make sure we have our names in there. Come to our main activity. Okay, so it's doing that, but I also want to do is I want to go ahead and log. Header or log bug tag. No, I don't. So let's go ahead and grab a tag. This is main. Then import. And we will let's take a look at the logcat instead. So we'll go ahead and debug it this time. All right, so let's take a look. Let's run it one more time. Where is it? What did we call it? Flutter. There you go. So now we come back here. And we get a crash. Alright, so let's make sure our camera permissions and everything else is in there. Oh, don't remember putting any permissions in my Android manifest file. Let's take a look. Make sure our Android files are clean. Yes, I don't see permissions being requested here. That's not good. What we need and now, oh, the theme that I've compared is activity. Saying that because AppCompat is here in our style using just turn this into a Flutter activity. Let's check it out. Okay. All right, we're connecting. So let's go ahead and give it a try. There you go. We got accept. Able to start activity component. Fail to resolve attribute at index 4. Okay, that's fine. Now it's telling us that something is wrong with our layout. So do that. Oh, and I do want to actually change the connectivity now. And we go, yeah, activity. That makes sense. This, we have the camera selector. Let's just do a clean and rebuild. Preview and image sizer. Camera selector, the build. So look, saying that, oh, life cycle. Yep, doesn't like it, just activity. So see what we had. It's complaining that we need to have it as a, give it a theme. The theme is in the theme itself is in our Flutter thing. If I just will complain about let's check it out. Alright. Okay. Right, build is going. Right, let's check it out. Nope. Let's see what broke this. That's the old one. There you go, at least we got some more info. We go back. There you go. You need to use a theme for this activity. Right? Because it's an app compact. Let's check it out. We're gonna check it out, see what we can find. So someone tried to do the same thing, but in that issue, don't think it's going anywhere. Yeah, but that's not the point, right? See, that's the thing, right? If I give it a style in styles class, that's gonna apply to the whole thing. Okay? If I was to go into my styles, isn't it up here? I'm gonna just set a theme for one little guy out of the whole thing. Oh, we're back here. In the parent style of my main activity for this. This theme black note bar. Let's apply that to this whole. Let's take a look really quick. This guy in for it to find the all right, it's gonna bring in all the material stuff. I don't know if I like this too much. See how this goes. So I found the theme. Now I can use app compat. Let's see. What activity do you use if you don't want to use any of them? Plain activity didn't work. Flutter activity didn't work. Take a look at that next. All right, we are running. Are we running? Yes, we are running. Installing the app. Oops, I messed with it. I was trying to load. Let's load it. Oh, come on. There's no fun. Unable to start component. Need to use the theme that I compat theme. What are we using right? Oh, instead of using material, we need to use the app compat. Take another minute or so to run. So we are learning live what happens when you add a new activity of tap app compat without the proper theming. What happens? App and crash again. Well, day night is when you want to do the dark theme or the dark mode. Yep, that's what I had. Thinking about it. Yeah, see, this is not. I don't want to do this. This is stupid. Yeah. Let's go and see exactly what we're using. Oh. See, the normal theme, that means different, so we'll stop and run it. That's what the problem is. We have different thing. And the activity one is using the normal theme. An activity uses launch. An activity doesn't use anything. We should just tell that activity to use the one particular one. I think it's gonna crash. We actually said these things before. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna stop wasting time on it. We'll just move over the code from an activity to the minute. Go from there. Okay, that's good. We at least got that to work. Giving a theme, open it up, we got all the access we needed. And then something, camera executor has not been initialized. Take a look. Where is camera executor? Where is this being? That's right, we're not even initializing it anywhere. So after we are done with the permissions, we need to say camera executor is to be the service. Executors, yep, new thread. Okay, so now this is good. Now we should see our phone asking for permission. Well, we shouldn't ask for permissions anymore because we already gave it the before. We just launch. So we go to search. Camera came on, or at least the view loaded. Okay. Now this is good. I'm gonna stop it here. Some quick changes. Go back to my styles. Copy this. Hard code this. And theme. I'm in here. We will just give it a whole, which will be just say no. Put this back. What do you want? And then activity will say you use this. Okay, so now do something about this. Everyone, this shouldn't be there. Let's make sure. Give you go back here. Okay, so now it's making. Right now it's doing what we expected it to do. There you go. Now we have the height taken out for everything except for that. Margin. Bottom we have a button. And what we don't have is the text on the button. Say answer. And then go ahead and add it to this one. And then what we'll say is on click, on cancel tapped. There is no method in the activity. So we're gonna say, hey, I can't find anything in there. We'll say, go ahead and create this in our activity. And we go to the activity. There's going to be on cancel right here. And what we're gonna do is gonna finish it. We'll finish it with no result back. So now let's run it. Or actually, you know what? Let's actually send back proper thing. So we'll say result cancelled, and not putting anything here. We'll say okay, result will be cancelled, and then go ahead and finish. So That way, on our main activity, we'll know that it was actually cancelled by someone. Go ahead and run. All right. And we are debugging. I think you got stuck in a rut again. Just didn't I? Where is our layout? Where is our view? Let's make sure we have the right. Using any. So we'll have a viewfinder. Oh. Preview. We call it viewfinder. Same thing. Build it. Viewfinder. Find view by key. D. What? Take a look at that. Okay, now it makes sense. We had the preview, but not the actual. Now we are saying surface will be this guy. No, maybe. Ooh. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Some action. We go to that. Oh. Okay. So what just happened is, notice, it didn't get any. It got an image, then it just returned that back. If we put a bugger and then go ahead and do it again, see our breakpoint is being hit because now we are getting through all the images. We are getting the image to process, and we are just returning that. Our handle process is going to run to this point. We have an intent to go back. In our main activity, we will have right here. So did we get something back? Yes, we did. And just applying it to the result sends it back to our Flutter app. And we get this. Yes. Okay, that was painful. A little. Okay, so not bad. Let's get rid of all these breakpoints. We are good here. Here. Now what we need is we actually need to do the analysis, right? Let's get that code really quick. Now we'll bring in the actual ML code that will do all the analysis and stuff. So what we need to bring in a couple of things. We'll go ahead and import them. Bring it here. I'm bringing in the Google ML Kit Vision, but it's saying, hey, you don't have this. So we need to go grab it. So what we'll do, go to the browser. Where is my browser? And we were looking at this before, so this is what we are gonna get. We have the ML Kit 16.11 as our the latest version. So we'll go back, bring that into our build in the app build.gradle here. So what do we have? We have that. Now we don't need the latest one, so let's go ahead and just save it. Now if I come back here, the build will sync. Once it syncs it, it will get the package. And now when we get that, we will need to initialize a couple of things. We will initialize the text recognizer as a library, get the client, pass in any options if we need to, and then just pass in the image that we're getting, and then it'll process it and give us back the it will give us back what we're looking for the text that gets recognized. There you go. It found those, right? So that's all good. So a couple of things we want to do really quick. We will get right. So now when we are actually scanning the image, we will be looking at some things. So here, let's get rid of all Well, before we do that, let's here have a private function called process image that should take an image proxy, and then here, instead of doing that, we'll just process image and then pass in that proxy we're getting back. First thing we need is to actually extract the image from that proxy. So we will say image proxy input image dot from media image will be proxy, which has the image instance. So now this is nullable, so unbox it, say trust you. And we also need to give it the rotation degree. Get that. Now thing that you need to put that, bring that in. Now we got hold of the actual image that came back from the camera. Now we have to do something. So say recognizer equal text recognizer, which is in demo kit vision, and get client. We're not passing any options right now. And then we'll say recognizer dot process input image is the image we just got, right? And we're gonna say add on success listener, and then we'll also add on failure listener. Failures get it as an exception, and then again it as this, so we can have it. Then I also want to make sure that when we are done, we have a complete listener, so we can do this. So this is pretty much it. Right, so we're gonna have a on success, which means we got an image and we successfully process it. Something happened wrong, and then now we are done. So what we're gonna do in this, let's go backwards. When it's completed, we want to take the image proxy and close that out. If it fails, let's go ahead and print it, whatever that is, right? And if it's successful, we'll say process text, right? And then we'll pass in it. Now what it is a text object, it's nullable, so we'll just pass that in, and we'll say pass this in as text, and then we will go through that. Now when we get the text, we actually get a nested thing. So we get blocks, then we get texts, then we get lines. We'll go in there, we'll go in accordingly. So really quickly, let's see. If we say we got the blocks, which was a list of text, so we'll say text blocks, right? There is a way for me to turn this thing on where it says shows me the type. We could do that here, I don't know. So introduce variable drag super class. Oh man, this is pretty cool. Where did it go? It had an option where it'll say show inline inferred type or something. Move specify. Show local variable type, and there you go. So when I turn this on, you can see that if I'm just using a val, what type actually is coming back from here, right? So I'm gonna get the text, and then I'll say if blocks is empty, which means there was nothing really in it, just go ahead and return. Chances are you probably won't have that, but we'll still do that, no worries. Then we'll say for each be in block, it'll be block and do something. Now each block has lines. We'll have a lines collection, which in this block get me all the lines. Now let's give me 1 second. Sure. It's very quiet in here. Doing its thing. All right. So now we extracted the lines from there, and then we have to do the same for line in lines. Do something else. Now we have elements. For each line, we have an element in. So we'll get the element. Will be line dot elements. Right, we got the this will be elements list. And now we actually we can extract the values from here. So we'll say for I, which is index, and elements dot indices. Okay, so now we can get access to that. So what I'm gonna do is let's go ahead and have a variable called return value. What I'm going to do here when we get to this, I'm going to have a variable called return val, which will be a string builder. And what we'll say is, let's take everything we have here and take the return val and then end the element at index I, get the text from it. Wait, what version of Kotlin am I on? Because this should let me. Kotlin 1.4 has a new thing called append line, which is pretty cool. Version of Kotlin. Oh, I'm in the wrong build Gradle. Build G. I'm gonna switch my you know what, for now I'll just leave it. So once I switch it to 1.4.0, I would have to run the integration tool, which is pretty fast, but still we don't care right now. So we will just go back to our activity. We'll say line, and then it'll append all this, and then at the end of the day we will do what we would before, which was handle result. Yeah, we will say handle result, and we'll pass in return val dot toString. It'll pass everything that it found into our result, package it, and then send it back. So essentially this is where the whole magic happens, where we grab the blocks, we grab the lines in the blocks, then we grab the elements in the line, and then we capture them and do something to it, right? So in this case, I'm just turning it back. So let's see what happens now. Go ahead and run it. Now once it runs, remember the idea is we are using a platform specific code, platform specific libraries, and then talking back to Flutter, which is very powerful, which means you don't have any limitation on what you can or cannot do when it comes to platform specific things. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. So let's see, it builds on here, and then we'll do some testing. I have my old business card here that I'll do, and then we'll go from there. I used to do streams for an hour, and then I bumped them up to 2 hours, and today we are pushing 3 hours, which is a lot. But guess what? It's a lot of good stuff we're working on. So. Feel good. Right, so now we are running the app. We will say search, and we see it brought in something really weird, but the point is it brought something. So it's bringing back text, and you can see how fast this is, right? So it's bringing back the text, which is pretty cool. Now what we could do is getting the C up there. Okay, it actually works pretty well in normal condition. If I cancel, it just comes back and says no text recognized. All right, so I think this is cool. Got this to we got Google ML working right on the device in our Flutter app just by adding a new activity, playing around with it, right? So now let's go ahead, clean up, optimize imports. Now the tricky part is I'm sending back a long string in our main activity, which is right here, and then back in our, so now I'm gonna switch back to our Flutter to take a look at something. So let's go ahead and stop this. We'll go ahead and close this. Let's make sure you guys are seeing Flutter. Now we don't care about this page, it's all done. Ah, sweet. Didn't have to do much. So now we're back in our Flutter thing, so main.dart. Now let's just make sure that the text we have, which is this result, gets a long result here, and the value gets set when we get the result back from this method. It's pretty cool, right? That this method itself in the Android code doesn't really have a return type, it just takes in the result. But as soon as the result is set in the native platform, it messages that back to Flutter, and the Flutter gets it and then does something to it. So what I want to see is what comes from here. So let's go ahead and save it. Now that we are out of the platform world, we get our hot reload back. We can do things much faster. Of course, after it runs the first time, or after a while. What is going on? What is it running on? Sorry, running on my device. Pop it and run it on the device. Go. It's running. All right, we are waiting and okay, while we are waiting, all we're gonna do now is take a look at the result in Flutter side. Then we'll go ahead and check this code in to GitHub, and then you'll find the link to that posted in chat. So you can take a look at it for yourself. And next time we will take this and go over to our iOS and our iOS. Okay, come on, don't take too long. Like something about to happen, but then ended up not happening. Do that again. Now, sometimes when that happens to me, I have to uninstall the app manually from the device for it to get a fresh install. I think we're back to normal. All right, so we are here. Let's go ahead and open our console. Make sure we see anything coming out of it. We go to our thing and something. There you go. This makes more sense, right? This is what I was trying to see, that it can't be just one letter. Just picking up more things like we expect. And then if we go into our run, we should see the same result that was coming back here. Okay, cool. All right, so this is a good stopping point. Let's go ahead and stop here. And where is it? There you go. You have a few track files. Google ML working on Android. It's on chat. Right, so now we can go ahead and push it up. All right, sweet. Let's go to the browser. Go fresh. And there you go. Oh, I need to get rid of this DS store file, but the code is up. All in here. Go to Android, app, source, main, Kotlin, main activity, all here. All right. So that's that. Now I will stop now. But thank you very much for sitting through this whole thing and then working on this with me. If you're not following me already, go ahead and follow. That'll make sure that we are, every time I come online, that you're able to stop by and check it out, what I'm working on. And if you're not following me on Twitter, do the same thing. That's my most active thing. That's good. So today we did two things. We did Flutter platform specific channel things, and then we worked on Google machine learning for text recognition on Android without using Firebase ML. But there are a lot of content out there for Firebase ML. It has a direct support, seems like, but for Google ML there isn't. So now you know how to get Google ML working on your Flutter apps on Android, at least. Next time we'll do the same thing for iOS, and we'll see how it goes. Till then, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.